That was so awkward.
Hi, I'm Mary, the writer.
Hi, I'm Sally, the artist.
We're part Booktube, part creative team.
We collaborate on different personal creative projects together, and we yell about books.
So we figured we would share it with people who also like to yell about books or like to watch other people do it.
The first book we'll be reviewing is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins.
But we thought we would introduce ourselves and do the Booktuber newbie tag first.
First, the story of how we started working together and met and started doing all of this stuff.
Yep.
We're both originally from South Dakota.
Yes. Yeah.
Small places.
Yeah.
I still live in South Dakota, and Mary now lives in New York.
Mm-hmm. I prefer it.
So, well, I like where I live.
Good. You should.
Okay, make this even funnier for people who aren't from around here. I live in a town with 800 people.
Do you know
like
everybody?
It's quiet. I know most people's faces. I don't actually know. I don't work in town, so that's the thing that doesn't like help me on that front. But I'm sure if I worked in town, I would.
Yeah.
But the whole time I've lived here, I haven't worked in town. I worked in a different town. So I've known you for almost 11 years.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
We were just wee babies.
Wee babies.
21. I feel like we technically met through one of the Britneys.
Was it Brittany's 21st birthday?
Yes.
Yes. We met at a bar. We met at Maya Jane's.
Oh God. Maya Jane.
So we were 21.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same year when you started taking classes, we took a foreign film class together?
Yeah.
Is
I think
that
so?
Okay. Yeah, so
We became smoking buddies.
I followed you on DeviantArt.
Mm.
We lost touch. And then
Yeah, and we met also again, this was Brittany Linen.
yes, the other one of the Britneys. we met again at a hipster bar to have dinner. And then we went to an art gallery.
Yes. And then I started talking about like looking for art that might inspire me for one of my stories. And you liked the idea, and then we
forced you to talk about your story because you didn't want to at first.
And then we met for coffee after that to talk about maybe collaborating together. And
yeah, because you were talking about your story, and the whole time you were explaining the plot of the story to me, I kept having like ideas for visuals, like this would be a really cool thing to draw or to see in an art piece, like not just in words. And you really liked that idea.
mm-hmm.
So we said we would talk about it and meet up together and see if we wanted to work on something together. And instead of it just being like one of those things you say, like, oh yeah, we should get coffee, and then never do it,
yeah, which happened
we actually got together. Yeah. So we actually had coffee and talked about it, and then started working on things together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started realizing that we read some of the same books, and we accidentally, not accidentally, I made you get the Atlas books.
Oh, Planetfall?
Planetfall. Yeah. And then we binged the whole series together while frantically texting each other about it. And that's how this started.
Yeah.
We decided to start reading books together on purpose and talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
Yep. When you said you were an artist, I have to admit, I was just like, some people say that and then their stuff isn't that good.
Yeah.
But I was so excited when I saw your drawings. I was like, shit. This person can actually draw.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I was
that makes
so
me
excited.
feel good.
And I still am.
Well, the same thing with you. I was really skeptical when you said you were a writer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I read some of your stuff and I'm like, wow, shit. Yeah.
Yay.
So, same reaction. Okay, so the Booktube newbie tag is something I found on Pinterest a while ago, and that seemed like a good thing for a first video.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because it makes it easy for us. All right, question 1. Why did you start this channel?
Well, we kind of already covered it with...
Yeah, basically. So that one's done. Question 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube?
Well, the fact that we're a duo, I haven't seen a lot of duos.
Yeah, there's some of them bring on guests and stuff like occasionally, but most of the time it's just a single person, and this is going to be us most of the time.
Yeah.
I will be using the channel sometimes to upload videos of me working on some of the artwork for our own projects, but that'll be later, like way later on.
Yeah.
So that would be a single thing, but most of the time it's going to be both of us, and we have 2 different perspectives on books. So we have one person who's looking at it from a literary point of view, like the writer, and then someone who's looking at it from a different point of view, which I don't write. I'm terrible at it, but I read a lot of books. So we have 2 different perspectives, and that's different than
I think
most
that
other...
makes it interesting, because you'll see something in a story that I won't see.
Yeah, we've already had that happen a couple times with previous books we've read.
Yeah.
At the same time. So question number 3. What are you most excited about with this new channel?
I don't know, I just think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really fun to just talk about it with other people. Well, talk about it with you, but have other people be able to weigh in on the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool to maybe connect with other people who like the same stuff, and maybe they have different perspectives that we don't have.
Okay, question number 4. Why do you love reading?
Well, there's always escapism, but it's also, for me, it helps my writing. I stopped reading for a while, even though I've always loved it, but I started again because I didn't like my writing very much, and I realized that, I need to read again, and I've been devouring books since then. And that's part of what this is for me anyway, is motivation for more.
Motivation to keep working on things together too, because we kind of get stagnant with our own projects if we don't do a lot. I think reading for me is mostly well, it used to be mostly escapism. I would read constantly just to not deal with things in the real world, like personal issues. And now it's more inspiration, getting more ideas, getting different people's perspectives on things, like within a story too. Like you can read the same plot, but by several different people, it could all be different. And all right, so number 5, what book or series got you into reading?
My parents and brothers would read me stories as a kid, and I always liked that. And I also would go to bed every night listening to these old tapes that I want to find again, because they had stories on there that I can just barely remember, like, a part.
Yeah.
And it would be all these different mythological stories.
Oh, I had this goose. It was a tape player, and it looked like a goose. Like the tape player was in its stomach, and it looked like a goose, and it had like children's stories on it. And
Nice.
I listened to it all day, and then when it would stop playing or had to be flipped to the other side, I would drag the goose into my parents' room by its neck, just carrying this goose, and then have them flip it so I could listen to more.
So you didn't know how to flip it yourself?
I think I just wanted to wake them up.
Oh.
I've always had issues sleeping. Always had insomnia. So,
yeah.
The books that actually really got me into reading, because I liked listening to those tapes, but I never liked reading when we started reading in school. I hated it. I was bad at it. It made me feel ashamed because I couldn't read. I didn't like it. Because they made you sit, with an older student. Like the high school students would come to the elementary school and like sit with you for an hour and have you read to them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I felt terrible.
Oh.
But when I was 12, yeah, I was a year older. When I was 12, I got my Harry Potter books. And I actually got the second one first. And I read the second one because I had a friend who had the second book, and she didn't like it and was going to throw it away. And I took it from her. And then I realized I actually liked reading. I liked reading that book. So I got the first one, and then I started over with the first and second. And then eventually I was a senior in high school when the 7th book came out, and I went to the book release in costume. So
I can say that is one fan thing I have never done. It'll probably happen sometime when I'm like 50 and it's so uncool. But
my Harry Potter references go unappreciated every time I talk to you.
I tried the first book, and I just
At what age?
was not. I don't know.
What
I
age
found
did you
it kind
try?
of boring.
Well, what age did you try reading them?
When?
Yeah, what age?
I don't know. It was around when I was about the same age that you were when you started, around 12.
Oh, really?
I remember there being a whole thing because I went to Catholic school from preschool through high school, and I remember there being a whole fucking thing about it.
Why are you saying
I don't know.
sorry? All right,
That
back on track. Number 6. We're on 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers?
I guess, I don't know, any advice on how to reach people, how to handle trigger warnings, because I've been wondering a lot about those, like, because I don't want to trigger anybody. I know what that feels like, and
Right.
but I also don't, because I think Neil Gaiman has kind of talked about this, like, you can read stories that have something that would trigger you, and you can get something out of it. Like, you know that.
Yeah.
And But I think knowing ahead of time is kind of tricky because it might stop you from reading a book that gets you.
Right. Like, when we do our first review on Girl on the Train, like, it would have been nice to have a little bit of warning on some of the things that are in there, but at the same time, I wouldn't have had the same reading experience, and I probably wouldn't have picked it up. I probably wouldn't have read it. So,
yeah,
there's two sides to needing trigger warnings and trying to avoid spoilers or miss out on a story that's good.
Yeah.
The question was, what would you ask your favorite booktubers? That's a really good point, the asking advice and stuff like that. I didn't even think of that. What I was thinking was more like asking if they wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
I like most of the booktubers that are on YouTube, and I just think they'd be really cool people to hang out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome?
I would say the recording process and the editing process. Like, I've done a little bit in the past with that, but I mean, very little.
Yeah, we're learning everything as we go. We have no idea what we're doing.
Yes, please forgive us.
I think the hardest part is going to be comments. Is negative comments, because I know we'll get some, but there's people out there that just want to write nasty things to you for any reason they can think of, and I think it would be hard to not respond.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 8 is, when did you start reading?
I kind of mentioned it before, but I started pretty young, like right away. And I, because of that, like wrote my first story really young. Not good at all. But,
do you still have it?
Not the first story. I have one somewhere from first grade where I wrote, it was very bloody, the first version of this. I grew up watching like Xena.
Yeah.
You know. And so my first story was like about this female warrior, and she just went from place to place fighting all these bad people and whatever. And the teacher, this actually happened a couple of times in elementary school, the teacher thought that my parents had written it for me and thought it was horrible, of course, and had me rewrite it. So I was so annoyed with having to rewrite it that I went like way in the opposite direction and was like, she turns them into fluffy little bunnies and blah, blah, blah. And everyone, there was a rainbow and everybody had a good day. Like, I was so like,
I need to see this.
I'll find it. I think
Both
I have it on
versions.
one of my external hard drives.
Sweet. Okay.
How about you?
When I started first reading, it was the reading to the older students in school, in elementary school, but it was around 12 when I started reading Harry Potter that I was reading for myself, like continuously reading. Okay, so number 9, where do you read?
Pretty much anywhere. Airports are big. I have a loft now that I have. It's like my little library, so I read up there. But I also read in the living room. So, yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I read pretty much anywhere. Most of the time, like, even if I'm reading a physical copy of a book, I'll always have several different books that I'm juggling on my Kindle. So anytime I'm looking at my phone, I'm probably reading something. I read while I'm cooking. Everywhere.
Yeah.
So, all right. So number 10, what kind of books do you like to read?
I love sci-fi. I like fantasy, but I don't like a lot of the like classic fantasy. It's the newer stuff that adds something different, that gets away from like this white straight dude, you know, he's the chosen one and he's gonna fight all the demons and save the world. So anything that's kind of unique and has a different perspective, like I guess I was gonna say The Nest is kind of a story like that, because he does have like a little bit of a quest element to it, but it's also kind of mythology, so I don't know. But anyway, stuff like that, like
okay, yeah,
and horror.
I
think almost everything.
We have the same tastes in books and genres of books.
You read more romance. I have literally never read a romance book.
Okay, I don't like I don't read romance for a good story. I read romance when I need like a mental break. It's kind of like watching sitcoms for me.
Yeah.
For books that I actually want to get something out of, I like reading a lot of sci-fi. I especially like the subgenre of like military sci-fi, like wars or combat or something's going on within the sci-fi.
Really?
It's not just a futuristic world. Yeah, I really like military sci-fis.
I like quests. I didn't know that.
Those are fun too.
I feel like I'm learning things.
One of my suggestions on our list of 2 reads to do reviews on was the Murderbot, and that's kind of during a war, I think.
Yeah.
Fantasy, obviously, Harry Potter. I really like fantasy, but I'm over the medieval setting fantasy. I don't like it anymore. It's just ugh. So more, I would like to read more urban fantasy stuff that's more modern. Yeah, pretty much anything. One thing that I don't really like is like autobiographies. I have a hard time with those. I can get through them if they're audio, like audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because then it just seems like somebody's telling me. It's more like a podcast when I listen to an audiobook.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. What we'll be doing for this channel is picking books just randomly. We won't have a specific like genre or anything we're following like that. We're just gonna pick books that we want to read.
Yeah. From my perspective, I am also trying to like widen my horizon, like reading I'm gonna read a romance book, so we'll see how that goes. We have kind of a tentative book list on Goodreads. We have our shelf, and there's a bunch of different genres. We're trying things that we know we like sci-fi and fantasy books that maybe we've wanted to read, and books that have won awards like Nebula and Hugo, that kind of thing. And then also books that we don't normally read. So like for me, that's like the romance, and I don't know if we have any Western stories or not.
I don't think we do, but we should. Should we add one?
I don't know. Because there's sci-fi Western comic books, like graphic novels, like that. You have.
Oh
one
yeah,
of them.
we're gonna do graphic novels too. This whole shelf. We'll be doing books that we don't normally read, also just to try to expand our reading genres. And then we are also going to be doing a personal like reading bingo that we created for ourselves that will be on our Instagram stories soon. It's not right now. Soon. Next video is going to be about The Girl on the Train. We're going to be reviewing it, and a note for all of our reviews, all of them will be extensive spoilers. If you want to read this before we get to that next video so you can know what we're talking about and not be spoiled, go for it. And then after that one, we're already reading this book. We will be doing Black Leopard, Red Wolf. So, let's see. We've already started.
Yes.
It'll be multiple episodes for that one because there's 600 pages. It's broken up in sections, so it'll be easy for us to like section 1, section 2. So that's the one we're reading right now. So we'll be doing Girl on the Train and then Black Leopard, Red Wolf. So if you want to read those with us, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have an outro yet.
So, bye.
Bye.
Do you want to say hi? Here is Bacall. Say hi, Bacall. This is Ragnar. You want to say hi, Ragnar?